MIAA Monday with MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy once again this week. Sir, thanks for coming on. Hope you had a great weekend, of college football too.
Great weather, great football. Yeah, it was a great weekend all around, Chris. Thank you.
Hey, you guys had quite the week last week too, on the field across the conference, but also announcing the championship sites for this year. A lot of excitement about getting back into some normalcy with MIAA championships across the board. Quite the list of opportunities for MIAA championships, including going back to Municipal, it looks like, for basketball this year too.
Yeah, that's right. After a year off, when last year during COVID, we took the basketball men's and women's championships to campus, just so we could manage fan attendance and some of those issues. We'll be back at Municipal. I think this is year number 19. We had known for a while that if we would have stayed on schedule and been at Municipal last year, that this would have been our 20th straight year playing the MIAA tournament as part of March Madness in Kansas City at Municipal Auditorium, but had that interruption. So yeah, we're back for year 19, and we're excited, Chris, about the entire championship lineup. One of the things I think that is part of the brand of MIAA is how great our facilities are, and the type of stadiums and arenas and tracks and places that our student athletes are able to compete week in, week out in regular season competition. And what we try to do in the conference is to give them that experience for a championship that will help prepare them for that next round. That's the NCAA tournament or championship. And I think we have a good lineup again this year. For example, we talked about basketball. There's not a more historic venue for basketball in the country than Municipal Auditorium, and taking our student athletes there and giving them that type of a March experience in downtown Kansas City, and a great arena, and all of the things going on with the 20-team basketball tournament. Another example, our indoor track and field that will be at Northwest Missouri State, a beautiful new facility that recently opened. I know Northwest is excited about opportunities to host NCAA, junior college, NAIA championships in that field house, and we're a beneficiary of being able to stage a conference indoor track and field championship there. So that'll be a great experience for our student athletes. You look in the spring at a facility like Edmonds Center Court, Chris, where we'll be playing tennis. That facility is just 2 years old. It's already hosted an ITA collegiate championship and also an NCAA regional championship, men's and women's. It's on the short list of future sites for an NCAA championship. And again, that's the type of venue that we're going to go and stage a conference championship to give our student athletes that type of experience. So it's a good list again this year, and we benefit, not only from having great facilities on our campuses that we can choose from, but some of these facilities in Oklahoma, Nebraska, Missouri, and Kansas that are first-class facilities that the NCAA comes and uses for championship events, and we're able to take advantage of those, for the MIAA student athletes.
I want to go back to a Municipal Auditorium a little bit, because you talked about the historic, the amount of basketball there, the NAIA is there a lot. Why is that so important maybe for the MIAA to have that still established there at Municipal instead of returning to home sites like you did last year because of the pandemic? Why was it important to take that back to Municipal and continue on that trend?
Well, Chris, a lot of conferences would love to do what we do, and that's stage a championship at a neutral site and do it in a venue like Municipal. Where a lot of conferences have problems is in attendance. They can't they can't figure out a way to do that the local crowd will come out, and schools will travel and bring their pep band and their cheer squad, and their fans will come and buy tickets and make a week of it or a weekend of it. We have that in Kansas City. We've been able to tap into that. It's taken a lot of hard work. Ralph McFillin, who was the second full-time commissioner of the MIAA, got that tournament started in downtown Kansas City. Jim Johnson, the current AD at Pitt State, followed Ralph, and then Dr. Bob Boerichter. And, they helped really cement a strong partnership with the Kansas City Sports Commission and Visit KC and the downtown businesses and, a property like the Kansas City Marriott downtown where we house all of our student athletes. And it all adds into an environment and an experience for our student athletes. It's really, I don't think has too many rivals at the D1 or D2 level. And, I think that's what's allowed us to do that and have success. And really a lot of it goes to our MIAA men's and women's basketball fans are the best in the country. They lead Division II every year in attendance, and they travel to Kansas City to watch their teams. I was just at a meeting over the lunch hour at Johnny's Tavern in downtown Kansas City in the Power and Light District, and their general manager. We were talking about the basketball tournament. We identified Johnny's as kind of our tournament hangout, and we have a lot of schools that do private events at Johnny's, and they roll into town, in the same way that Iowa State invades downtown Kansas City during Big 12 week. Mm-hmm. We have schools like Northwest Missouri and Hayes and Washburn, that Emporia, UCM, that have great passionate fans that travel to Kansas City, stay the week, enjoy the tournament, and certainly spend some time at Johnny's enjoying March Madness. But it's just the total environment. It's a great place, and I'm really excited that we're back there again this year.
When you look at that part of it, just how centralized Kansas City is for this conference, how big is that factor that you do have fan bases that travel really well? Now, it helps, for instance, Northwest being the top of not just the conference, but Division II the last several years. But you have them, you have Washburn, like you said, Emporia State, Central Missouri. Fan bases like that travel, that almost makes it more have to do it, right? You have to have something in that Kansas City maybe area to centralize everybody and have them take over, downtown like you talked about.
I think it's one of the strongest attributes of our conference, Chris. We've got a collection of 14 schools. Most of them are regional, mid-sized public universities that have very strong connections to their local communities, very passionate, strong fan bases. And I don't know that a lot of people realize this, that in the Kansas City metro area, we have over 100,000 MIAA alumni that live in Kansas City, work in Kansas City, drive around town with the split-faced gorilla mascot on their license plate, or the Northwest Bearcat. We see all sorts of MIAA university license plates driving around Kansas City, and it really allows us to really kind of put our stamp on Kansas City as an MIAA city. There isn't another NCAA conference office located in Kansas City. Obviously, for a long time, the Big 8 and then the Big 12 called Kansas City home. But, it's the MIAA office, and then, the MIAA conference tournament here every year, and lots of proud alumni in Kansas City that come and show up and take advantage of being able to cheer on their alma mater in their home city. So that plays a big part of it, is not only the geography of where our schools are located and the natural rivalries that occur because of that, whether it's Emporia, Washburn, or Pitt State, Missouri Southern, or the Bearcats and the Griffins. We've got great local rivalries, great regional campuses, and more than 100,000 alumni in Kansas City is really why the conference office is here and why we stage our biggest event, the basketball tournament, here every year.
MIAA Basketball Championships returning to Kansas City this year. Actually, the first conference championship to get underway, looking at the sheet here, is less than a month away, October 23rd, the cross-country championships up in Kearney, Nebraska at the Kearney Country Club. So a full year of MIAA championships ahead of us. MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy with me here on MIAA Monday. And I want to go towards a topic we've talked about a little bit before and kind of maybe go a little bit deeper into the MIAA network. We've seen a lot of expansion within the network, I think, in the last couple of years, of more games, more action, more matches being broadcasted on the network, not just football, not just basketball, but soccer, volleyball, the list goes on. What is that process like as you guys continue to roll out the network?
Well, it's really our media platform, and Chris, it's really the place that our institutions can connect with alumni and friends of the university that can't make it back to campus for a game or can't travel with the team to go watch a team play. It's a gathering point for friends and family that want to watch somebody compete. It's really a tool that our coaches have to sell their program and connect with prospective student athletes and have them see through an MIAA network broadcast, this could be you playing, in front of 10,000 people at a Pittsburgh State University football game, or whatever the case may be. So it's all of those things to us. It's also a revenue source for our member schools. We are one of just a couple of conferences in Division II, Chris, that has our broadcast behind a paywall. And, with that comes a responsibility to try to do everything we can to make sure these are quality, multi-camera, professionally broadcast games. We hit the mark most of the time. There are occasions with any technology, whether you're CBS or ESPN Plus or some network trying to broadcast high school games. Sometimes you're at the mercy of equipment or connections or broadband, whatever the case may be. But we try to offer a very high quality broadcast. This year we've started to do some things with some pregame programming, thanks to our partnership with you and having a couple of interns that, are hoping to have a career in broadcasting to give them an experience of doing a weekly MIAA preview show and interview coaches and student athletes. And, that's on our network is just added value for your subscription. You're able to get those type of programs. But, the thing I'm most proud about is really what you touched on, Chris, and that's the number of broadcasts that we're doing on the MIAA network. A few weeks ago, I saw the new commissioner of the Pac-12 conference bragging about the Pac-12 network. And I think the number, I may be wrong, but I think the number was, he was talking about around 550 games that the Pac-12 network was scheduled to broadcast live. And we're double that. We're over 1,000 live events on the MIAA Network from our 14 campuses, and everything from wrestling to softball to tennis to football, basketball, volleyball, you name it, it's on there. And these are broadcasts that I know our schools are proud of. Some of these institutions, use the broadcast as an opportunity for students that want a career in communications to get some experience behind a camera, or perhaps doing a halftime interview, or whatever the case may be. But it's an important platform. It's an important revenue source for our member schools. All the revenue goes back directly to our institutions, in the same way that a fan paying for a ticket to go watch a game in person, and knowing that money's going to help the operating budget for the athletics department. The same thing's going on for fans that are paying money to watch a game on the MIAA Network. That money's going back to the athletic departments and helping support their operations. So it's a great tool, a great resource, and an asset that we're really proud of in the MIAA.
With the media landscape kind of, I guess, always evolving at this point, not even 5 years, feel like every year or two there's something changing with it, whether it's TV, radio, newspaper, digital subscriptions. How much are you guys having to look at where everything is and kind of say, okay, what can we do to add to the network? What can we do, like we talked about, the pregame content, the original content. Yeah. How much is that where you guys have to say, what else can we offer with the MIAA Network on top of, like you said, 1,000+ games and matches being streamed live?
Yeah, it's something that we're constantly talking to. Our media platform is a company out of Lexington, Kentucky, called Blue Frame Technologies. And one of the reasons that we agreed to partner with them, Chris, 4 years ago now, is because of the cutting edge technology that they offer, and their promise is to really hold our hand and be there with us as we grow the network and find new tools and resources that we want to use, or that our campuses need to be using. So it's constant. We do a workshop every year for all of our schools that Blue Frame Technologies puts on, and there's a lot of new technology and tools that get shared during that workshop of things that our schools can use or tap into. Excuse me. So it's a big thing that we have to stay on top of here in the office, and that we have to find ways to package that and take it to our schools and show them ways that they can, at a reasonable cost, enhance the broadcast, and therefore enhance the experience of the customers that are tuning in every week to the MIAA Network.
Can that be a challenge too? Because we talk about short attention spans of everybody in this day and age. Everybody wants now. When you guys start looking at new things to maybe provide there too, how much is it looking at the analytics of, okay, this is what's been working, this is what we need to improve on, this content here? Because, I mean, the games and matches, there's only so much you can change with them, but everything else around it, how much is that just kind of trial and error? I don't know if that's the right words to use there, but just kind of figure out, okay, this is what sticks, this is what people want to see more of, and this is what we can offer them too.
Yeah, so and I think that's a great point. We have to be thinking not only about the technology piece of this, but also the content piece of this. What can we do on the network that people don't have access to or get to see, through other channels or platforms that they're able to visit? A number of our schools are really good at the recruiting hype videos, Chris, that that they put together and that they use to share with recruits and prospects. And I think some of those would be fun to have a collection of those on our network to help each school kind of promote itself and to show some things that fans don't get to see. They don't get to see all the time the inside of the locker room or the fiery speech by one of our coaches or the tunnel as the teams are running out onto the field and what that experience is like. So, there's a number of things that we can do there. Marshall Fay in our office and I were talking the other day about some of the things that our officials go through in their preparation every week. They have film sessions, they have video conferences, they have every Thursday night our White Hats meet with Phil Laurie, our supervisor of officials, and Phil will break down plays from different games and talk about what the officials were doing. Were they in the right position? Break down a block and whether someone was turned the wrong way or the right way. And I told Marshall, maybe that's something we need to figure out a way to put on the MIAA network, that type of a game, week to week officials film session. So our fans can look at the types of things our officials are talking about each week and plays they got right and plays they may have missed. And so there are things that we constantly have to be thinking about or talking about as a conference that we want to add to the network, to allow our fans to really get that total MIAA experience and to find value in the monthly or the annual subscription that they're paying.
MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy with me. And third and final topic I want to get to today, I think it's a conversation talked about a lot, is the NCAA Regional Championship model and how teams are evaluated for the postseason. Take football, for example. That's probably the big one, especially in the MIAA right now, just kind of looking at how many teams will get into the playoffs. And with teams early in the season beating each other up a little bit, it brings a lot into question of how this will shake out as we get deeper into the season. But just take me through, I guess, how you look at the regional championship model.
Yeah, so, regionalization and the regional championship model have been really foundational philosophies for Division II, going back 20, 25 years. And, the real reason for a regional model at the Division II level is to help schools manage a smaller athletic budget, not as much money available for travel, long trips, overnight trips. And that really forces Division II institutions to think about two things. One, belonging and being part of a conference, that's more geographically central to where the institution is. And it allows it to, play a conference schedule without too many overnight stays. You can drive out in the morning, play a game in the afternoon or evening, and make it back that night, and help our students be in class and help manage costs. So regionalization, provides, I think, conferences to look a lot like the MIAA does, where we're 14 schools in 4 states. Whereas in Division I, you see conferences like the Big Ten that has Maryland, the Big 12 has a school like West Virginia in the conference. The WAC, the Western Athletic Conference, is spread out. So, that's one difference. The other difference is that in Division II, the championship fields or brackets are based off of either 8 regions or 4 super regions like exist in football. And the selection is done based on how well you do in your region. And it really becomes irrelevant if you've played a national schedule. A top-ranked volleyball team like the University of Tampa, because of the regional model, really has zero incentive to go out to California and play some volleyball games. Their focus is on scheduling in their conference and then scheduling within their region around the state of Florida, and trying to be the top-ranked team in their region when it comes time for regional selections. Chris, each sport in Division II has a national selection committee, but they also have within that structure what is called a regional advisory committee. So in the MIAA, most sports were located in the central region. So for example, in men's and women's basketball, our schools are trying to be one of the top 8 teams in the central region, competing not only against schools in the MIAA, but also the Northern Sun Conference, the Dakotas and Minnesota, and the Great American Conference in Arkansas and Oklahoma. Those are the 3 conferences that make up the central region. Our schools are trying to be in the top 8, and the structure of the national committees for selecting teams, Chris, they rely on a regional advisory committee that does regular rankings of teams in that region. That regional advisory committee, made up of administrators and coaches from schools in that region, their job is not to watch all Division II basketball from coast to coast. Their job is to focus on Division II basketball in those 3 conferences, to identify a regional ranking 1 through 12. The top 8 are going to get selected at the end of the year, and to really keep their eye on trying to evaluate, is Missouri Western or Northwest Missouri State better than Northern State out of the Northern Sun and Henderson State out of the Great American Conference. In sports like basketball and soccer and baseball and softball, we have some data points in regional selections where we can compare how an MIAA school did against those other conferences.
Right.
In a sport like football, we have a closed schedule, and so there's a little bit of guesswork, and what an evaluator has to look like in trying to determine if Northwest Missouri State, that's only played against MIAA schools, how would they compare against these 2 or 3 schools out of the Great American Conference. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of that goes into it. But regionalization is a big part of Division II's identity, and it's important that our fans, even though there are national polls in Division II, a national football poll, a national volleyball poll, and it's fun to see what the national media or our coaches associations think about where MIAA football schools fall or volleyball. But really, at the end of the day, it only matters how we're doing in our region, because that's how selections are made to NCAA championships.
I'll get you out of here on this question about the evaluation process, because I think you and I have talked about before. I know I've talked to Missouri Western and Northwest about this too. When it comes to football, there is that sense of kind of frustration, but also understanding of, you play the full conference schedule, there's some guesswork that kind of maybe goes into making that regional, because if you get 2 or 3 losses, you're already on the outside looking in. This in the central region is based on how tough it is, but maybe you are one of the best teams in the region, but because you're 3rd or 4th maybe in the MIAA, you get left out. And that's part of the, I guess, maybe the guessing issue, because there is no non-conference schedule in football.
That's right. There are a few conferences that do play non-con. The MIAA and the Great American Conference don't. I think the Northern Sun does. I think they're divided into 2 divisions, and they play some non-conference games. It's been a really good debate in the MIAA on whether we continue to have a closed schedule or whether we should go to divisions or just open it up. where we have kind of a revolving schedule of the 9 or 10 teams you play every year, and then you get 1 or 2 non-conference games. It's pretty evenly split among the ADs and the coaches on whether they think the closed schedule is best or the open schedule would position us better to argue that our best schools are better than the Great American Conference and the Northern Suns best schools, or that we should have 3 teams in the playoffs instead of 2. But our presidents are still at a place where they feel like having those sure games in the schedule that are in close proximity helps manage a budget like football. That's a very expensive sport to offer, and it allows us at the end of the day to really crown a true champion, the team that is actually the best team in our conference that year. So, it's a close issue. It's a good one to debate, and I see the merits on both sides. But for now, we're still one of the conferences in Division II that has a closed schedule.
And I'm sure it's one of those things where the debate will continue on for quite a bit longer. But MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy, thank you as always for coming on, and appreciate talking to you, and always enjoy the conversation.
You bet. Thank you, Chris. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.